So why do I want to work at a school that partners with historically marginalized communities? For me, this is an easy question, and it goes back to the foundations of why I got into education in the first place. And that is when I was an undergraduate student at the University of Washington in Seattle. I was studying philosophy, and I was always very concerned with the inequality that I saw in society. But I wasn't quite sure initially what I wanted to do to try and work towards a solution. That is, until I happened upon a Teach for America info session, and I started reading the statistics and listening to the narratives from the alumni, and I realized very quickly how powerful education could be as a tool for shaping society. Since then, I worked 2 years in San Antonio teaching middle school English. I got my master's degree from Columbia University in New York, and I've had the opportunity to work abroad. I taught digital literacy to migrants in South Africa and trained new teachers at rural schools in Ghana with the Teach for Ghana program. And all of those have shown me that inequality is not a uniquely American problem. It's something societies struggle with worldwide. However, currently living in South Korea and reading the news back home with what's going on with the political landscape in the United States, I feel like now is a really important time for me to return to my roots for why I got into education in the first place, which is to help empower those previously disadvantaged and marginalized groups. The best manager that I ever had was probably my first assistant principal that I worked with in San Antonio, Texas, Mr. Hugo Saucedo. And I think he was a good leader and a good mentor for a lot of reasons, but first and foremost because he modeled for me what it meant to be a good educator. He told me very early on that if I wanted my students to work hard, I had to show them that I cared. And if they knew that I loved them, if they knew I had their best interest at heart, that they would work very hard for me. And I have found that to be true time and time again. And he really modeled for me what that looked like. He greeted each student every day by name. He knew all of our middle school students, their interests, things about their family. And it, to me, showed me what a good educator should look like and how important it is to build relationships with students. So the most recent time I've learned something in a formal professional development was when I had to learn how to use chalk.com to document our school's curriculum and lesson plans for the accreditation process. However, I feel like it's important to note that as educators, we're really always learning and growing. I learn something new from my students every day. And I feel like that's one of the most exciting parts about being in education is just that commitment to continual growth and learning.